Hello everyone, this is General Hand Grenade. Welcome to my war room in Prince George, British Columbia. Today's video we're going to be talking about a customization. We're going to talk about magnets. Now I use a lot of magnets, like magnets for flight stands for my planes and everything, but this video is not about that. I've already made videos about that. This video is about the kind of magnets that you're looking at here, the ones that take your player aids and put them on the wall. Because I mean, when you're playing with one of the global war games there, chances are you've got at least a 4x8 map, and it's going to take up all of a table. And so where are you going to put them, right? Like you've got maybe another table. It's tough to fit another table in the room when you've got a map this big, unless you've got an extraordinarily big room. But even then, I mean, it's better off, you're better off putting this stuff on the wall, right? And then you have more room on your tables for other stuff, more important things like beer and chips or milk and cookies, you know, depending on what floats your boat, right? So I've learned a lot about these magnets though, like from trial and error. Recently we had an event in town, the Spring Offensive, which has become the Summer Offensive, and I sent one of the players home with all my old roundels that you see there on the board, the World War II and the World War I roundels, because I've replaced all my magnets, and I'll show you why. I'm going to show you the best place to find magnets and the best magnets to use, and the magnets that you don't want to use because it does make a difference which magnets you use, and we're going to get to that, but I just wanted to start the video off with just this little intro here. So what you're looking at is this is Global War 1914, so this is the IPP chart, and we've got the technology chart, and I've got all my roundels here from all the nations. And up here, another thing that I like to do, I like to magnetize these coasters, because I put them in the order that the nations play the game in. And so then if I need to remember, or anybody playing the game needs to remember who's next, they can just look up on the wall. I've also got a set of World War II coasters made up the same way. And so when all of this stuff comes off the board, then all the World War II stuff goes back on the board. And you know, like I use the same roundels for the Americans and the French and Turkey as well. Although you don't need very many Turkish roundels for the 36 game, but there's a few of them that you can use for both games if you want. Anyway, let me just pause the video and we'll get more in depth into roundels or into magnets. The first thing that we should talk about is, what do you stick your magnets to? Now, some people, they like to go out and get a big sheet of metal or something. I don't know how much that costs, but you know, it's a bit of work, and it probably costs more money than doing what I've done here. And this is just a magnetic whiteboard, and I got it, well, I've got a couple of them. This one's smaller than the one that you just seen a minute ago. So you can get them all shapes and sizes at some type of office supply store. Like these came from Staples up here in Canada. I think they're Staples down in the States, and I don't know what you have in Europe, but I'm sure you've got some type of office supply warehouse. Those are probably be the cheapest places to get these things. And these things are the best things that you can use, because you know, like they already look all right. Like this one is pretty plain. The other one had a nice frame on it. You can get them with wood frames and whatever, but not only can you use them to do your roundels. Here, let me just set this camera down, okay? But you can also use them for what the whiteboards were originally intended to use them for, right? Like you just get the pen, and then you can write things down. Like you can keep score. You don't need a piece of paper. Or maybe you're playing with units that are not part of the regular game, the core game. Like you've seen HBG. Maybe you're using the America pieces or something like that, and they have different stats for those. Well, they're not written on any of your sheets or anything. So you can just use this thing to mark it up, right? You can put any type of information you want to on the extra parts of your whiteboard like that. So that's it's a dual purpose that you can use these whiteboards for. And then of course they just erase as well, right? One thing I found though is you don't want to leave it. I left this score up there for like 2 months, and then it's a lot harder to get off. Anyway, so let's talk about the magnets. Let me just grab this again. Okay, so what I originally started with was this size of magnet right here. And I just got this, I got these at a hardware store. And they're the same size as the roundel. And I thought, that's perfect. The same size as the roundel, that's exactly what I need. But it turns out it's not. Even though this isn't a powerful magnet, like this is not a rare earth magnet. You'll see like it takes up the whole roundel, right? Like that's one with it already on there. So what happens is like the magnets are right beside each other. So you watch here, like it attracts that, right? Or if you've got reverse polarity on it, then you can't get this one close to the other one. Like it just moves the other one away, right? And that can become a problem when you're clustered together like this, you know, like on your tech chart or your diplomacy chart or wherever. When you've got them all clustered together like that, they just all become just one bunch, right? And they're on top of each other, or that you can't get them all in one space. Like you're trying to fill up this space here, you can't get them all there because it keeps pushing one of them out. And that's a pain in the butt as well, right? So these ones, although they look like they'd just be perfect size for them, avoid these ones. You want a little bit of space in there, like here, so you can see this magnet was the same size. So what I'm using right now, what these ones are, you can see, are the same magnet, only smaller, right? And that works a lot better. That's the ones that I've been using. You can see there's a bunch of them right here. But the cool thing is see, like that they're not sticking together or anything, eh? But the one thing, it kind of looks a little weird because they're so raised up like that. You know, like it kind of makes them look a little odd. I mean, it's not terrible or anything, but you can do better than that. And plus, they're just magnetic enough, right? They should be stable enough. But then Doug sent me a bunch of magnets. Now these magnets here, these they're too big. I'll give you the sizes in a minute, but these magnets are just too big and extremely powerful. Like I had a heck of a time getting these things apart in order to stick them on there, and I didn't want to waste any roundels, so I just used these old ones that I'm not using anymore. But the same thing, like you can't get them close to each other, or if you like you reverse the polarity, then they attract each other. Plus, like if you're trying to put one on, then you're putting one beside the other one, like you can't put it down without that one wanting to pick it up, right? Sorry, I dropped the camera there. It's just too hard to work with when you're using a big, powerful magnet like that. But then you have these other ones, and I hadn't even thought about these ones, but these ones are small. Like they're very thin. And they're very small, but they're more powerful than these magnets here that I've been using from the hardware store, because they're a rare earth magnet. And they look better. Like you look at these ones up here. Here's the two of them right side by side. Like this is the magnet here. It's much smaller, right? But this one is right against the wall, whereas this one sticks way out, right? And this one's got a little bit more magnetism to it. But you can see that they don't stick to each other. Here. Let me lift this up. So they don't stick to each other. They don't push each other apart. They'll work just fine. Like you can put them all in a bunch like that. And the reason that you can do that is because there's space in between the magnet and the next magnet, which would be over here, right? Here, let me just grab another one here. So you can see these magnets are a ways apart because they're smaller than the roundels, right? I mean, if you stuck one on top of the other, then sure, they're going to attract each other. But because you're beside each other, there's some distance between them. So anyway, these are the ideal magnet to use, and they're the same, approximately the same price as these ones, but they're much better magnets. So if you're going to get magnets, if you're going to go get yourself a whiteboard and put your roundels on the wall, I would recommend getting these ones right here. I'll leave a link in the description box of the video. Telling you or giving you a link to where you can get these. You get 40 of them in a pack, and I think it's under $15. It's 14 something, I think, and you get them at Historical Board Gaming. So maximum will do your whole game and then some, right? Like you'll have some left over so that you can do your coasters or whatever, like I've done, right? You'll have enough to do your IPP chart and your technology chart. I don't know if you have any other stuff. Like if you have a diplomacy chart, then you might need more than 80. But 2 of them and plus a whiteboard, and you can do this. And you know, it's nice when you can have these roundels. These are just an absolute beautiful upgrade to any game, having the beautiful historical board gaming roundels. But you can still magnetize the cardboard roundels that you get out of the Axis and Allies game as well. That works just as well. It just doesn't look quite as nice, but it does work though. Anyway, so let me just set this down for a second and I'll get you the sizes on those. Okay, so these bigger ones from historical board gaming, the rare earth magnets, are extremely powerful. Like I said, they'd be good for a lot of applications that you want to use, just not for this one with roundels, right? But I could imagine using these for lots of things, especially hobby things, you know, like things to do with gaming and stuff like that, because they are so powerful, things that you want to be steady, right? So the size on them is a ½ inch or 12.7 millimeters by 0.125 inches. That's 3.2 millimeters. So that's basically a ½ inch by an eighth of an inch. And that's these big rare earth magnets here, and that's what they come in these things, right? And that's the big ones. So I got to get them out of there because they're so powerful. If I put any other magnets next to them, then they just grab them. So then the little ones, the ones that I recommend that you use, they're a lot smaller and they're just perfect for this application. So you get 40 of those. Oh, the last one you got 14 of them in there. So this one you get 40 of them, and the diameter is 0.375 inches, which is 9.5 millimeters. And the thickness is 0.163 inches or 1.8 millimeters. So much smaller and just perfect for this application. And they also come in a thing that looks just like the last one. There's a tube in the middle there that they're shipped in, but that works just right. They'll be way too big for magnetizing planes or something like that. But Doug does sell those magnets at Historical Board Gaming for magnetizing your planes. And then these other ones, these are just cheap hardware store ones, right? But when I say cheap, they still costed about the same amount as the smaller magnets, right? You know, like they worked and everything, but I wish I would have done the other ones because I don't want to buy a whole new set of roundels again. But if I ever do, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to replace them with the other ones, and that's what I'll do. And they were just some cheap brand. And the same with the bigger ones. These ones were a ½ inch one. The other ones were a 3/4 inch one. Same company made them or whatever. But again, they're not nearly as good, and they're quite bulky because of the thickness of them. But like I said, these ones here are probably your best bet. They're the most discreet ones, and they work just perfectly. Like they don't attract all the roundels around them, so you're not going to bunch them up. I've had that problem, boy. You're trying to stick 3 or 4 nations onto the same spot on the IPP chart, and they just won't fit, right? Because they just keep pushing each other away, and it just pisses you off. So if you get the right magnets, that's not going to happen. But anyway, again, I'll leave a link in the description box so that you can find these magnets right here. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. It's just this one little customization of getting your stuff off the table and putting it on the wall. So take care, everyone. General Hand Grenade out.